Help us unpack the current state of executive pay in corporate South Africa, our business anchor, that's Collen Lemawone, spoke to Ian Cruickshanks, a senior economist at the Institute of Race Relations in SA.
Ian, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure.
Do you think remuneration committees are getting their act right in as far as making remuneration recommendations of these executives?
The recommendations at time are reasonable. But what we also cannot help noticing is that the recommendations seem to keep on increasing, the rewards keep on increasing without fail. However, the success of the companies underlying these appointments don't always improve the same way. I find it difficult to accept that there should be standard 15 or 20% increases to the board, to senior management, when the company itself perhaps slipped into a loss situation. There's not the right level of accountability. It's better than it used to be, but it isn't correct yet, and I feel there should be more attention paid to that. The level of reward should go with the level of responsibility and the level of success of the individual company itself.
Yeah, well, I mean, like most of the time, these increases offend some of the workers and also shareholders. So how should reporting be done? Should it be to the board of directors or to the shareholders themselves?
Well, the shareholders are the ultimate owners of the company, so it's their responsibility. But the shareholders appoint the board, so the two do cross over. I think that there are now independent organizations who will look at the rewards, who will check the measurements and see that they're reasonable. And on behalf of the shareholders, it needs to be done with a greater sense of accuracy and a greater sense of responsibility than it has always in the past. I can't see why there's a good reason for a person to be appointed to a board simply because it's like a long service reward, or because it's a favor that's perhaps seen as due to a particular individual. There's got to be accountability and reward based on that.
Usually there's contention regarding the composition, ethnically as well as gender-wise. Do you think that there's been enough transformation in as far as these compositions are concerned, especially at the JSE-listed companies?
No, not yet. It's moving in the right direction. In other words, certainly the gender balance has changed. The balance of people's origins, which group they have come from, is changing. And the old excuse, well, we don't have qualified people. Hey, that's the responsibility of the board and management to groom these people, to make sure that they're prepared for this responsibility when they get to that level. So I think we can also look at the corporations themselves and their senior management levels.
Well, there is a perception that senior management is well taken care of as far as the advocacy for proper market-related salaries are concerned. However, unions have come out blazing, saying that ordinary workers are not properly remunerated, and when there's negotiation of salary increases, there's usually backlash, and there's a standoff and then strikes because they are earning peanuts, they are exploited, and their working conditions are not really conducive. What do you make out of that?
At times what you say is justifiable. However, on an international basis, we had discussions with an international company as to why they should use South Africa as an expanding base for operations in Africa. And what they had done is look at output per worker. Output per worker, let's say, was measured at 2 units per day in South Africa. You see, back home in the United States, it's 5 units per day. In China, it's 6 units per day. Now tell me why they should open a new factory or pay their workers even more than they're already being paid. Our labour movement has to realize there's a straight line between productivity and reward. It doesn't go up sufficiently steeply at the moment, but nevertheless, there's an awareness of it, but it's not prevalent in all sectors yet. And labour is entitled to feel unjustifiably held back at times.
They feel held back at times because they say some of these executives are paid in dollars, whereas they worked in South Africa. Does it really make any difference? Is there an impact with regards to executives who are paid in rands and those who are paid in dollars?
Most certainly, because those who are paid in a foreign currency, take it as dollars, over time will see that there's been an additional reward through the depreciation of the rand against that currency, being the dollar, and so they will have been better off in that respect. There is no chance that the worker on the shop floor or the factory floor is going to get that sort of perk. It just won't happen. But then the management will point to the fact that the responsibility, the management responsibility, the corporate responsibility that the top management have to bear warrants that sort of situation. And also, we've got to go by international standards. We want international management standards. We've got to pay international rewards.
Just on a parting shot, is the rate of increase of executives justifiable as compared to the salary increases of ordinary workers?
Well, that's a yes and no answer, I'm sorry to say. Not always. There are many, in fact, examples where rewards of the top execs have gone up to a far greater extent than the improvement in the corporate profitability, and I think Labour is quite justified to point fingers and say that is unfair. We still have a lot of those unfair labour practices in South Africa.